From one catastrophe in 1948, in which Palestinians were violently expelled from their homeland, to another in modern-day Gaza. A genocide live-streamed to a world that seemingly stood by and let it happen. Israel's relentless bombardment of Gaza has so far killed more than 73,000 Palestinians, among them at least 20,000 children, and it's not over yet. Since the ceasefire, backed by the United States, was agreed in October last year, Israeli forces have killed more than 1,000 people, entire families wiped away. For those who survive, life is unimaginable. The Strip is in ruins, tents have replaced homes, hospitals have been decimated. The renewed occupation is deepening. With Israel's chokehold on the Strip, all means of life are still being withheld. Welcome to our special coverage, Gaza, Promises and Reality. Let's hand over now to Hani Mahmoud and the team in Gaza City.
Thank you and welcome to our special coverage live from Gaza City. Over the coming days, we will examine the gap between what was promised when the U.S. brokered ceasefire began and the reality Palestinians face today. More than 2 years of war have left much of Gaza in ruins, with entire neighborhoods destroyed and more than 2 million people living in increasingly confined areas. We begin our coverage with my colleague Ibrahim Al-Khalili, who reports on Israel's expanding military presence in Gaza and what it means for the territory and its people.
What Israel once presented as its yellow line, the boundary indicating where troops would withdraw to, has extended deeper into Gaza, forcing more Palestinian families from their homes. Saad Yassin has 5 daughters. He says he feared for their safety when Israel expanded the military zone.
I was living in eastern Gaza, far away from the so-called Yellow Line, but all we could hear was the sound of shelling, artillery fire, and gunfire. We were told we were not classified as being within the Yellow Line, but our fear took over. We fled because of the danger.
Israel says any humanitarian operations within this zone require coordination with the military. The new boundary covers an additional 11% of Gaza. The UN calls it the Orange Line. The total area under Israeli restrictions now amounts to 64% of the Strip, leaving just 36% of the land for more than 2 million people. Authorities say they receive regular reports of Israeli gunfire targeting civilians.
The issue with the so-called buffer zone is that there are no warnings or any visible markings indicating that these are dangerous areas. As a result, injuries continue to occur nearby.
What began as a military boundary has become something far more consequential, a redrawing of Gaza's geography. For families already displaced multiple times, the Orange Line means less land, fewer options, and growing uncertainty over whether home remains a place they can ever return to. Ibrahim Khalili, Jazeera, Gaza City, Palestine.
As Ibrahim was reporting there, the Israeli military now occupies nearly 2/3 of Gaza. But as Lina Abu Aqla now explains, Israel's prime minister looks set on taking even more of it.
Under the ceasefire agreement reached with Hamas in October, Israel agreed to withdraw its troops to what is known as the Yellow Line. That gave Israel control of 53% of Gaza. Everything east of this line is classified as a no-go military zone, and people living here were told to leave. West of the line, Palestinians face fewer movement restrictions, but come under constant Israeli strikes and forced displacement orders. In March, Israel released maps showing its troops were advancing, occupying 64% of the Strip. That's an increase of 11%. Now, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered the military to expand its control to 70%. That means Palestinians have no access to more than 2/3 of their land. It's not clear, though, where this new boundary will be. And at the same time, Israel is still issuing regular forced displacement orders. The latest applied to Al-Shati refugee camp, that's in Gaza City and west of the Yellow Line, and it's a residential area. UN data shows about 1.7 million Palestinians are living in 1,600 displacement sites, overcrowded tent camps, schools, or damaged buildings.
As the Israeli military expands its control on the ground through what it calls the Yellow Line, questions are growing about the political implications of this move and what it could mean for Gaza's future. To better understand the human rights implications of what the Israeli military calls the Yellow Line and how it's affecting the lives and freedoms of civilians in Gaza, I'm joined by Mr. Ala Skafi, director of Damir Human Rights Organization and a human rights activist. Thank you, Ala, for joining us.
Thank you for talking to us. I start by asking you about the Yellow Line. As claimed by the Israeli occupation forces, it is set up as a security measure. From the human rights perspective, what are the deepest concerns on the Palestinian civilians? Among the top concerns created by the so-called Yellow Line is the inability of the Gazans to return to their home, even if demolished or ruined. Above all, it prevents the Palestinians from restoring their basic necessities for lives. It is also feared that these areas will be employed in future by the Israeli occupation forces to set up an illegal settlements. The Israeli occupation forces have already set up more than 40 military posts. It is feared by the Palestinians that these demographic and geographic changes will turn into permanent positions occupied by the Israeli occupation forces forever. These are deep concerns, as you mentioned, and will have a dire impact on the people's movement within the enclave, preventing most of them from returning, the displaced from returning to their homes. Also, from restoring hospitals or any other institutions which are now beyond the Yellow Line. How do you see these big issues? The seizure or the control by Israel of these areas represent more than two-thirds of the enclave. This was the food basket of the Palestinians. Above all, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of families used to live within these areas, utilizing other basic institutions, including hospitals and other facilities. In addition to that, during the war, the Israeli occupation forces leveled these areas, and they continue to do so under the allegation that they are setting up security zone. It is part of the systematic methodological policy by the genocide war initiated by Israel, meant mainly to end all forms of life. It is part and parcel of the genocide war. We'll come back to you later.
As we have been hearing, Palestinians now live in just 36% of Gaza. But even inside this creeping Yellow Line, nowhere is safe. We met one mother whose only son went to check on the family home inside the so-called orange zone and never came back. Here's the story in her own words.
أنا أم ل5 أطفال ولد و4 بنات. أنا ابني انفقد في منطقة التفاح وهي ضمن الخط الأصفر. كان ابني هذا كل حياتي. وكمان هو يروح على التفاح عشان يتفقد الدار ويجيب لنا أغراض، وكان متحمل مسؤولية كبيرة. كنت أنا أقول له يما روح وارجع بالعجل، بس هو للأسف راح ما رجعش. أنا هلقيتها بقدرش أروح أدور عليه عشان هذه المنطقة يعني صفرة اللي بروح فيها بيتم استهدافه، وأنا أخويا برضه انفقد زيه في شهر 12 2025. بعد ما فقدت يوسف الحياة ما فيش إلها معنى. هو أنا معتمدة عليه، كان كل شيء يناولني ويجيب لي. أما هلقيت لحد ما فقدت ابني ما فيش طعم للحياة، وأنا نفسي إنه ومش عارفة إنه هو طيب ولا ميت، طيب ولا ميت عشان يعني أدفن وأطمئن عليه. وساعتها لو كان ميت بقول يعني شهيد، بس مش عارفة مصيره. أنا كنت فاكرة إنه الخط الأصفر بفصل بيننا وبين الأرض، بس هو فصل بيني وبين ابني. أنا مش قادرة أروح أشوفه، وفي كتير ناس زيي. هذا الخط الأصفر سبب لنا العجز والخسارة والضعف، وفقدنا أبنائنا وبيوتنا وذكرياتنا. البنات بيسألوا على أخوهم، بيقول لي وين يا ماما أخويا؟ أنا ما بقدرش أنه أنا أرد عليهم، بحس بالعجز، ما فيش عندي إجابة إلهم. وأنا بتمنى إنه يقيموا الخط الأصفر عشان أعرف إيش مصير ابني. بتمنى من الصليب الأحمر، من أي جهات مختصة، إنهم يعرفوني إيش مصيره.
Gaza has left an extraordinary mark on history. Its story spans ancient civilizations, imperial conquest, forced mass displacement, and modern war, shaping the lives of Palestinians who have called it home. Here's Dalia Al-Masri looking at how this narrow strip of land became the central to one of the most enduring struggles.
Before Gaza was a fixture of modern headlines, it was a gateway between continents. So how did it become one of the world's most contested territories? Let's take a look. At just 365 square kilometers, it is smaller than many major cities. But for centuries, traders, pilgrims, and armies crossed this land, linking Africa, Asia, and the Mediterranean. Gaza was first referenced as a strategic prize in an ancient Egyptian inscription from the 15th century BCE. It was fought over and ruled by successive empires, including the Greeks and the Romans. Alexander the Great besieged the Mediterranean territory in 332 BCE. Roman general Mark Antony gifted the coastal city of Gaza to Cleopatra VII of Egypt around 37 BCE. Nearly 2,000 years later, Napoleon Bonaparte's French army passed through Gaza. And under Ottoman rule, which started in 1517, Gaza linked Egypt with the wider Levant. After the Ottoman Empire fell at the end of World War I, Britain took control. Modern Gaza then took shape in 1948, when the creation of the State of Israel expelled hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. Many displaced families fled there, pushed into refugee camps that became permanent communities. Egypt then administered the territory until the Arab-Israeli War in 1967, when Israel captured the Gaza Strip and began decades of occupation. Israel withdrew its illegal settlements and ground troops in 2005. A year later, Hamas won the Palestinian elections and took control of Gaza. Then, in June 2007, Israel imposed a severely restrictive blockade. And since 2023, Israel's genocide has erased much of Gaza's history, including centuries-old mosques and churches. But for Palestinians, it's still part of the homeland where generations of their ancestors have lived for thousands of years.
That's it for me, Hani Mahmoud, and the team here in Gaza. We will be back later on today. On Monday, we will be taking a look at the consequences of Israel's destruction of Gaza health sector. For now, it's back to Doha.